Now the first thing that you do is to center the clay. And just a little bit about the wheel. This is called a Brent wheel. It has a foot pedal that you can adjust the speed from quite slow to faster speed, and it has I think it's a 1 horsepower motor underneath. So that it's basically a very simple tool, but it helps significantly in terms of being a good quality piece of equipment that can handle the weight of the clay and has a good steady power to it. The first thing I do in terms of centering is bring it up into sort of a cone shape, and that gets the clay running a bit smoother, and it also enables you, once I change the position here, I'll start to push down on this clay and I can center a little bit at a time. If I was trying to push that whole lump of clay around to get it onto center, it would probably give me or anybody else a pretty good challenge. But when you draw it up into that cone and then center a little bit at a time as you're coming down, it's much easier to get that lump of clay on center. I'm just using some water to lubricate the clay. If you noticed, I started up like this, then brought this hand down, and eventually I'm trying to use my whole body with my elbows in and just sort of using my hands as almost a ram type of thing, just with a steady, even pressure. After you have it centered and running true, next thing we'll want to do is start to open the clay up. And I'm using my thumb here initially, just putting a little bit of a divot there. Again, it has to be on center, adding a little bit of water that will sort of ride down with me as I continue to open up. Now, depending on what you're eventually making, whether it's more oriented to the cylinder form or whether it's more of a plate or platter form or bowl form, as I open up, I will start to form what will eventually be the interior surface of the piece. And I'm going to be trying to do a bowl here. You see, I've gone down into the clay. And what I've tried to do is to leave probably about that much clay between this, which is the bat and the wheel head, and the top surface of the interior of what will be the bottom of the bowl. I took my hand and started pulling out to spread this fat sort of donut of clay here. And again, this is going to start to create that bottom surface. I'm going back and forth over that, compacting it, because as you stretch the clay, it can create, some tears type of thing, and again, that can emanate in cracking or S-cracks or things like that. So going back and compacting that clay is an important factor in getting the piece through the entire process. using in this instance a synthetic sponge that is good in terms of keeping the clay nice and moist. And if you notice, I guess I could mention a couple of the things I think that oftentimes people do in error and get themselves into some trouble. I see a lot of beginning potters just taking the water and sort of squirting it on and getting drips and runs and things. And what that does is you'll get a slick area and a dry area, a slick area and a dry area. And when you're trying to start to thin the clay out, it'll slip and drag, and it can create torque and create some problems for you. So I always try to apply the water with the sponge, letting the wheel do the work and getting an even moisture on it. Right now I'm pinching the clay between my interior fingers, and I'll release and show you, and you can see where the clay is rubbing against my fingers, and it's just those couple areas, but I have my fingers pressed firmly together, so it's a nice solid